Hey everybody, welcome back. Todd here. It's a couple of days after Christmas and it's cold outside. It's in the 20s, stuck inside. So I thought I'd tackle a project that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I just kind of keep putting it off to the back burner. So today's the day. It's in the 20s outside, so it'll be a good shop day. I'm going to build a bench to take up north to the cabin. Not sure where I'll use it. Might use it on the shooting range. Maybe just stick it out in front where we take our boots off and stuff. But it's pretty versatile. And if I like this one, I'll probably end up building a couple of more. So this will be my test run at it. It's a pretty simple build. Just 4 2x8s and a box of screws. So I ran down to my local Home Depot. 2x8s are like $10.88 a piece. And box of screws to use on treated lumber, $10 for a box. So pretty inexpensive build, and shouldn't take me that long. But so that's what I'm up to for today. So come on along and I'll show you how it goes. I've got the 2x8s unloaded, set up a couple of sawhorses. That way I'll be able to lay out some of my markings and what have you. I grabbed the shop vac, so as I make sawdust, I can clean up after myself. Got my box of screws there. So now the next thing is we got to get some heat in the shop. So what I use is I've got this propane salamander. It's got, let's see what we're at. Low. That means it's so cold. It's so cold out here it won't register. So my guess is it usually starts to register in the 30s. So it's in the 20s out here. But this thing will heat us up pretty fast. And I'll set my thermostat at 60 degrees. And it'll kick off at that point. So I'll be back once we got some heat and I can go to work in here. So we're up to heat now. I ended up turning it off. It was at like 55 or something, and it was blowing me out of here. So in case you're wondering, this is a Dynaglow workhorse, heavy-duty heater, 120,000 BTUs. Again, has the thermostat built in, which is great. It's kerosene. It's got obviously an electric blower on it. I've had this thing for years. I've got 2 of them actually, and I'm telling you, it works great. So if you consider the fact that this was so low, it was so cool in here, it wouldn't even register in the 30s. And within, let's say, 12 to 15 minutes, it's in the mid 50s in here. Now, you know, it's going to kick back on here before too long. But what I usually do then for heat is I'll just go to the high hat and maintain it once we kind of get there. But I don't think I'm going to mess with that today. Okay, I'm going to take you over here to the workshop here, or the workbench, and I'll show you the plans. I downloaded these from the internet. Here's the bench that we're going to build today. Yeah, it's not going to come in very good. There we go, focus. And this is the website. Hopefully you can see that, where you can go find these plans. And they give you a pretty good cut list. There's your, there's your 4 boards, 2x8x8, and where you got to make your cuts, your angles, all that jazz. So this ought to be like shooting fish in a barrel, right? So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. So the tools that we're going to need are pretty basic. Need a speed square. I went ahead and grabbed my 12-inch because we're working on, 2x8s. I've got a tape measure, some safety glasses, a pencil. I've got, a square there too, an extra one just to help. I've got my hearing protection. I'll be using my circular saw. And then, the wood screws that I got are made for going into treated lumber. They're made for exterior application. So they're 2.5 inches. So that's pretty much what we're going to be using. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I've cut the 48-inch pieces. There's 4 of them. 2 of them are for the back and 2 of them are for the seat. Now, here's something that I just kind of figured out. When I was choosing the pieces to use for the back or the seat, I didn't want all these knots on my seat or on the back, right? So you kind of pick through the different boards and you choose the 48-inch sections that are as clean as possible, which is what I did. But look at this. Here's your cut list. What they're assuming is that you're going to cut an 8-footer and an 8-footer right in half. Then you're going to take this next 8-footer and you're going to cut a 38 and a 38. Well, by me select cutting the 48s, here's what I'm left with. 2 separate, you can see it, 2 separate 48-inch boards and then 1 8-footer still. What I don't have is 2 8-foot boards, right? So you better be careful. Now, fortunately, there's a bunch of extra scrap. It just means I'm not going to be best managing my scrap. But so what I've got to do now on this 48-incher here is I've got to go ahead and take this 19-inch and the 20 1/4 off of this 48, because obviously that's going to come to, you know, less than the 48 inches. So hopefully, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this out. So what I've got to do, I've got to come up with a 40-degree angle here on the corner to start. So I come down here, put my speed square on the corner here, and I'm trying to watch through here. Line that up on the pivot point, right? And then here's your degrees. So then you're going to pivot this down and find 40 degrees. And you get the idea. So there's your 40. And then I'll make my line right there. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this out and cut it. And then I'll come back and show you what I ended up with. But that's definitely something to be aware of. Hopefully I'll be able to be okay on this. Okay, so that's the one I was doing. The 40 degrees with the 45 and then the 40 on the other end. So here's what I came up with. There's my first 40. They come 19 inches. There's my 45. You go 20... 20 1/4 inches on the bottom, and then you shoot another 40. So that's the scrap that I'll end up with. So, okay, worked out. I am cutting right through a knot. I mean, that's what you're gonna, I mean, it is what it is, right? In an ideal world, you'd be using select cut boards. You wouldn't have any knots, but hey, that's just the way it is. Okay, let's make these cuts. So I'm pretty pleased with the way they came out. Laying one, you don't know because they're reversed, right? So you cut them out, flump them over there, and there you go. So that's all lined up. The outside edge is lined up. Backside, and so that's how close I was. You know, not using a miter saw, just freehanding it with a skill saw. Man, I don't think I could ask for a better match than that. So I'll throw these on the pile over here. And we're getting there. Now we're down to just the final cuts here on what will be the 30 degrees. So I'll have to do the 38 inches with the 30 degrees and whatnot. So I'll take a little break for lunch here, come back after lunch. Okay, so we've got all these cuts made, And now we're down to one final cut. There's a taper that has to get cut. Looks like that. But you're not really dealing with that flat end, okay? You're dealing with these, the two that have 30 degrees on them. See how that's got a 30 on each end? So what we're going to do is I've gone ahead and I've done my measurements per this. So, you know, I came in the 4.5 inches along here, and then from this bottom corner over here, I came up the 21 inches to there, and then shot a line. So I'll take that off. Then I'm going to go ahead and use this as the template to lay it over the other one so that they're identical. If it's off a smidge, 1/8 of an inch or whatever, at least that way they match since they're a pair. So I'm going to go ahead. These will be the two final cuts, and then we'll be ready for some assembly. So I'll go ahead and cut those tapers now. Okay, there's our tapered cuts. We've got our 30 and or 40 and 45s. So you got a pair of those small ones, pair of the larger ones that are tapered. Then you've got pretty much 4 that are identical. 2 of those are the seat, 2 of those are the back. So now we're ready for assembly. I got the shop wall cleaned up again and maintaining good heat here. And now we can kind of come over here, I think, where I've got better light. We'll do some assembly work. We've begun to attach our pieces, and you can see the diagram there. So here's my first one. Laid that out on the bench and attached it. The real key here is just make sure you get the 45-degree angle one up here on top. And there we go. So now it's a matter of beginning to attach the back and the seat, and we should be done. So I've set it up. I've got the first bench on there. It's not installed yet. It's just sitting there. I've taken the level to plumb up both sides, and then I've given it an 1.5 inch overhang at the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and fasten that down, and then I'll be back for the next step. So I got the first one attached. I put the second one in. What I'm doing is I'm leaving about 1/4 inch, or I'm using this board to stick in there. That way I'll be consistent on both the seat as well as the back. Now, you've got 2 that'll carry it here, only one coming in from the top. Then we'll go ahead and secure the back of that coming through the side right here. There's not a lot of support back there. I mean, most of the weight's getting carried up front where you're sitting. So I've got 2 more to attach here on the side, and then I'll move on to the back. Got both of the seat panels fastened down. As I said, just came in through the side here and caught that back one. Again, the legs are going to support most of the weight. The part in the back there isn't really that structural. I've gone ahead and friction fit the top panel in the back, and really all I'm going to do is come down the side just like I did there, and I'm going to catch, you know, some screws coming across the back there, probably 3 on each side. Then I'll go ahead and use my board to space out the panels, put the next board down there, and I'll fasten them, and I'll be back, because that'll mean we're done. So I'll go ahead and fasten those up, and I'll be back in a second. And we're finished. So here's your finished product. Do you a quick walk around here. I can tell you this, it's very heavy, it's very sturdy, very comfortable to sit on. You can see it's got quite a lean back. It's that back of that seat's not sitting straight up. It's on quite a nice little angle. And because of that, It's super comfortable to sit on. I was a little bit concerned with as much lean that it might, you know, feel like it wants to tip over, but not at all. It's super solid. And, you know, we're in sandy soil up north at the cabin, but I have no concerns of this thing tipping over or anything like that. Now, one thing that I'll say is I'm going to use a belt sander here because it's got a lean on the back. When you flush out that back board on the top there, you know, it's moving in two different directions. So I'll just take the belt sander, take that corner off and kind of kill it back into here. And it should be nice and fine. You don't have to worry about catching that edge. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. So I got round about 60 bucks into it. And, you know, honestly, you can't buy that plastic lawn furniture, a decent sized piece for 40 to 50 bucks. It's crazy. You know, don't get me wrong. You could buy the $19.99 stuff, but it's going to bust on you right away. If you're going to use it in cold weather or anything like that, you know, you got to get that heavier stuff, and you're into 40, 50, 60, 75 bucks for that plastic stuff. So this will be good. We'll find a place for it, and maybe I'll build some more. I don't know. So I had to come back and show you how it turned out. You know, where it had those high spots. I first hit it with the belt sander. Kind of tapered it back in to the back. Then I came back with a palm sander and cleaned it up. And I have to tell you, looks nice. Definitely an improvement over, you know, having that bump there. So don't fret over that, gang. That's easy fix. Again, real happy with it. Okay. So that's going to be a wrap for this video. I appreciate you tagging along. Do me a favor and hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to tag along and watch some of the other kinds of things that I'm up to. And I'll see you on the next one.